my name is Michael, for those who don't know. I became a disciple January 27th, if I'm not mistaken. Before I came to Detroit Church of Christ, I started, I grew up in church, and my dad, I always went to church with my dad, and I had a job at Walmart in my senior year. This was 2012, and I was so eager to work that summer that I had off, I opened up my availability, not knowing that, when you fill out this sheet, there are specific days that you can have off, and I just opened it up because I'm like, I just want to work. And so that right there took me out of church. And I'm like, dang, I can't go to church. So, meanwhile, you forget after a while, like, you having so much fun not going to church on Sundays because, sometimes getting up is like, that's like going to a job,
Yeah.
And so I was having too much fun. And so, one day specifically, my dad had this like event, and he asked me to come, and I had a girlfriend. She didn't want me to go. Not that she didn't want me to go, but I had plans on going with her that night, and I told my dad that I would come. And while I was there was a lady there, and she said that there are some things about you that's different, and she invited me out to church. And when I went, the guy had he called a lot of people on stage, not a lot, but about 10. And so he just started saying some things to me that was like, different, and some things that like no one should have known. And so that really like pulled my attention. Mm-hmm. And so after the service, I'm like, I'm really digging this. And he said, he just made like a call, like, Bible studies on Wednesdays. And when I went to the Bible study, it was like, they was like having a full worship. And I'm like, dang, I'm feeling this. Like, at the regular church, we just had a Bible study in the basement. So, they having like a full service. So that was like really pulling me in. So I was going consistently and, just following directions. When I would hear something, I would do it. When I was struggling with things, just following directions. And I'm the type of person where if I keep falling at something, I'm just going to keep trying to do it or find new ways. If I fail a million times, I'm going to keep trying. So one night, my mother-in-law now currently, she wasn't my mother-in-law then, she invited me to midweek. And at the time, I just thought it was just like an event, like a one-time type of deal. And so I came, and I'm not sure why, but Brandon like reached out to me, and I'm like, it's a familiar spirit. And he just was like kicking it with me, and I'm like, man, I'm really feeling this dude. He cool, and not even sure how we got on the topic of studying the Bible, but we studied for a while. And with me, like coming from my church, I went to church, but the type of love that he was showing and just the time he was giving me, I'm like, dang, bro. I didn't say it to him, but I'm like, I knew he was married too. I'm like, dang, how your wife feeling about this, bro? You know what I'm saying? And we studied for a while, and after a while, he had hit me up one day, and what I love about what you said earlier, he said, we can't get stuck on people, because he had hit me up one day and was like, yeah, bro, we're gonna have to stop our studies. My wife said I'm not taking care of home. So I didn't really know how to feel about that. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, mind you, I didn't really know 100% what studying the Bible really was. And even after we stopped, I still didn't really know. So that ceased. And so I feel like God, at that point, God was like, okay, I wanted to give you a taste, and now what you gonna do? And so I still kept going to church, and I still would struggle, have my, I was seeing and just, just have a regular life as a guy going to church, having regular struggles. And so after that, I still went to church, and I had to work on a Saturday. And for some reason, like, you could do the minimum work, and you exhausted. And my wife's little brother had a birthday party, and she said, I want you to come to this party. And I'm like, man, I wasn't really feeling it. I wanted to go home, but I came. And still, I hadn't talked to Brandon really, and while I was there, I had met a guy named Cosmos, and so I like to work out, and so Cos was just like, yeah, bro, you look like you work out a little bit, and we basically just made a conversation off that, and I'm like really into that type of stuff, and just health, and just whatever, anything that can kind of like get me ahead of the game. And so he invited me over, and I'm like a fan of that too. Like, when somebody reaches out, I'm always just trying to see, like, who real and who fake, because a lot of people reach out and say little stuff and exchange numbers. But a lot of people. Well, I'm not gonna say that, but sometimes that's a test. You know, like that man and God thing. But you know, Kyle so happened to be one of them people that was genuine. And so while I was over there, you know, we worked out. He never mentioned nothing about the Bible or nothing. And you know, periodically I would just like say stuff to him. I don't even know where I got the idea of being open with. But like I said, like, you know, Andrea was saying about those books, read something to figure it out. So I'm just like, man, you know, I don't want to just stay stuck. You know, you want to learn or find out how you can get help. And I'm not one that's ashamed. So I'm like, man, I just started sharing, you know, a few things. And, you know, I asked him something. Well, I asked him, you know, how do you deal with this? And it was actually, we were talking about purity. And he asked me, you know, what's going on at home? You know, what's causing you to feel like this? And he asked me how would I like to study the Bible, and I still didn't even know what that meant. And so we ended up studying. And the first day we came, you know, it was about 3-4 guys. I'm like, what's going on, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's all this about? We ain't talking about this. This supposed to just be me and you opening up this book. Like, hey man, you ever seen this scripture? And so I'm still like the type of guy, like, all right, okay, cool. You know, I'm not about to show you my true colors. Like, you know, if I'm the snake, I'm not about to show you that I'm him. I'm about to just play along with the game. And you know, my next thing I know, my father-in-law shows up. That really kind of irritated me. So I'm like, why dog here? You know what I'm saying? What's all this about? And then he led the study. So I'm like, it's really getting on my nerves. I'm like, what makes him qualified? You know what I'm saying? So, and I kept going. I told you earlier on that when I fail at something, I'm gonna keep going. So I'm not the type of guy that's gonna get his feelings hurt. Oh, I ain't really with the study and I'm done with it. And plus, I know that God works in mysterious ways. So I kept going to the studies, and you know, now I'm learning. Like, oh, okay, no, actually, I went home and my wife like, do you know what you're doing? I'm like, no, what's up? I'm like, no, I don't know. She's like, yeah, you need to get clarification because they like really think you were on the study. So I'm like, oh well, I mean, I'm cool with it though, you know, still. And I kept going, and you know, there was some, you know, rough patches where I almost wanted to start working out with Kyle one day because I'm like, dang, I know he ain't trying to play me just to get me come over here and work out, to hit me with the study. Like, hey man, work out, and then hey man, let's study now. I'm like, well, is he on that type of tip? And so I still like he ended up calling me, and that kind of like, I know God, like I can be a little stubborn, so he knew that, like I said, when somebody's showing me some love, I'm gonna be a little bit more open, and he showed that to me. So I'm like, all right, cool, man. You know, we still worked out, and I kept studying, and you know, I end up finding out like, okay, all the steps. Whereas you get baptized, and you know, Jesus like welcomes you back in, and you like become a disciple. So I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. Like I already was trying. I'm not really sure what I was doing before. I always have shared my faith, and I would pray with people, but I guess I wasn't considered a real disciple. I actually had got baptized once before, but I guess the next day I really didn't have no guidance. So once I got baptized, it was like, okay, fly eagle, like, you know. I'm like, dang, do the wings work? You know. So we finished our studies, and I got baptized because I'm like, okay, so I want to be solidified. I don't want to be a fake dude, or I don't want to be halfway in, or you know, once I get to the steps, all that stuff you was doing, but not of me. You know, you did all those things not in my name. So that's what really led me, because I'm like, I was just foolish enough to say, okay, my wife was like, do you know what you're doing? No, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I know that, you know, they reading the Bible. So I mean, what's the worst that can happen from reading the Bible, you know? And so I'm still learning to this day, and I'm happy that I became a disciple. And I thank Brandon for what he did, because that really tested me, and I feel like that was God saying, okay, now that I'm removing this out of your life, what are you going to do? So I think that's a test that sometimes he shows us all, and that, you know, and I actually shared with him too, because it says, you know, when you have a fault, you share with your brother. And I had told him, like, yeah, bro, I was feeling some type of way, because after he said what he said, like, we can't study no more, it was just like, that was it, our relationship ceased. And I'm like, dang, like, was he for real? And so that kind of hurt my feelings. And so I was caught in that for a minute, and I felt like God wanted to deal with me in that before I came to a church like this.
Like, my mom was going every Sunday, so I gotta go, and I don't have a choice. So it's kind of like, yeah, I just was going just because my mom said, okay, it's Sunday, it's Wednesday, we gotta go to church. And back then they had a single moms ministry, so then we had to go to single mom events. So it was just like I was just always at church. So I started to become annoyed with the thought of coming to church. Like, I had fun in class and stuff like that because I was around my friends and stuff, and I had fun when it was like time to fellowship. But then, like, it was just always church, and even at home it was church. So it was just like, as I got older, I started doing my own thing. I was still coming to church. I was still doing my own thing. I was sinning. I was like, just like not, you know. But I feel like it was kind of fake because, like, I'd be at church and then I'd be involved in church, very involved. But then outside of church, nobody. My friends knew I went to church because my mom made sure they knew I went to church. But I was like, I don't have to. This is not something that I'm interested in because I already know what it is, and it's just like, it's boring. That's all I always thought. So as I got let's see, when I turned 19. No, before I was 19. Wait, was I 19 already? Okay, yeah. When I was 19, I left church. I left DCOC, and then I went to another church, which was it was another church, and I went with him to the other church. When I got there,
him was Michael. Sorry.
Michael James. When I got there, it was just, I knew it wasn't right. Like, I just knew, like, this is not God. Even though I was going to church at DCLC and I wasn't interested, I knew what was and what wasn't. So I was just there, and I was just like, this is, spiritually, I just wasn't right. And as I got older, I started to want God more, but I feel like my relationship with God was based off of his relationship with God. So I was seeking God as much as he was seeking God. So if he decided he didn't want to go to church or something on Sunday, I wasn't going to church. So it was kind of like that. Like, I didn't have my own conviction. So let me see. So about, how long did we stay there? 4 years?
4.
So like 4 years we was there.
5 years.
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, well, I don't want to go no more. So I just stopped going, and I started coming back to DCOC. He was on the road. He truck driving over the road, and I just would not go to the other church. I started coming back to church with my mom, and she would say stuff like, you should study. And I'd be like, I'm okay with just coming for right now. And then when he came off the road, he started hooking up with Cosmos, and they started studying, and I was just like, okay, if he starts studying, and my mom already was telling me I need to study, maybe this is something that I need to do. So it was an idea, and I told it to her, and then so I first started, and I was like, it was challenging. I didn't want to do it at some point. I was just like, no, I'm okay. But after I went through my craziness, then I told my mom I wanted to study, so then we studied, and I was baptized on January 27th. And now I'm here.